Geometry 1, Chapter 6 Test, Topic 2. You should be able to use the angle bisector theorem to determine a distance from an angle bisector to the side of the angle. You should also be able to use the converse of the angle bisector theorem to determine if a ray is an angle bisector and any missing angle measures. So here's the idea. The angle bisector theorem says that if you have a point that is on the angle bisector, then it is equal distance to the two sides of the angle. The converse says if a point is equidistant from the two sides of the angle, then the point is on the angle bisector. So they're very, very closely related. It just depends on which direction, what information you're given in the problem. So the example, find each indicated measure and state what rule allows you to make this conclusion. A, find the measure of angle CAB. Well, what we know in this picture is that DC and CB are equal. Point C right here, is equidistant to the two sides. Well, that's the converse. Of the angle bisector theorem. The converse of the angle bisector theorem says if a point is equidistant from the two sides, then the point is on the angle bisector. So what this means is that C is on the angle bisector from A to C. But if it's on the angle bisector, well, that means that these two angles here are congruent. They're equal in measure. Well, this one right here says 10 degrees, which means this one right here must also be 10 degrees. The measure of angle CAB is 10 degrees. The second problem, find the length from B to C. This length right here. Well, look at what we have. We have an angle BAD, and we have these little marks right here, congruent marks. Well, what that means is that AC is the angle bisector. So we're going to use the angle bisector theorem. And the angle bisector theorem says if you are a point on the angle bisector, like point C, then you are equidistant to the two sides. That is, these two lengths are equal, they're congruent. So what you can do is set them equal to each other. 3x equals x plus 12 and solve. So subtract x from both sides of the equal sign. 2x equals 12, divide by 2, and x equals 6. Now that's great and very tempting to write down x equals 6 and move on, but go back and make sure you read the question. They want the length of segment BC, the distance from B to C. So what we have to do is plug it in. And again, you can plug it into whichever one you like because they should be equal when you're done. Let's plug it into 3x for no particular reason. That's the same thing as 3 times 6, which is 18. So the distance from B to C is 18 by the angle bisector theorem.